Before I begin this video, yes, I have heard you guys in the comment section and on Twitter that you guys want Floowandereeze to die. I am listening, but I'm gonna need you guys to hit that subscribe button. That'd be great. Because you probably didn't realize it, but I've seen most of you and you guys have been cursed to brick, and the only way to break that curse is to hit that subscribe button. But anyways, you guys apparently want a no-fly zone for these Floowandereeze. Ever since Hanko's top 4 at the recent YCS, there's just been a ton of Floowandereeze players floating about in your locals. It's a cheap deck to play, and with the Floowandereeze players comes a ton of D-shifters into your locals as well. Man, do I love getting D-shifted on my draw phase. But in this video, we're gonna put them in their place. So in this video, we're gonna teach you guys how to beat Floowandereeze. But first, I'm gonna call Hanko. Hey Hanko.
Yo, what up, Tombox? What's up?
I'm gonna tell people how to beat your deck before YCS.
What? For free? What?
Yeah, I guess I'll see you at table 500. Bye!
Oh, no.
So first of all, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of context. Without context, you guys are not going to know how to beat them anyways, because even with the right cards, it's going to be useless for you. The first thing you need to know is what they can do against you, and the second thing you need to know is when they can do those things against you. For the what they can use against you, they have M-Pen, they have Barrier Statue, Ryza, and Mist Valley Apex Avian. For how that's going to happen, it's going to be Dreaming Town or the Magnificent Map. In terms of when, the main phase is your enemy, because that's where they get the most freedom to use most of the card effects. And yes, the deck does come with a couple of auto win buttons, such as Harpy's Featherstorm and Dimension Shifter. And if they successfully resolve it, I guess it's too bad. Some of the stuff I mentioned probably won't even help you. To that I say, get good. Just have the out, man. Just have the out. And to start, we're going to snipe them out of the skies with hand traps. The good hand traps, we're looking at Ogre, Droll, Lancia, and Gamma. And for the bad hand traps that are probably in your deck anyway, and we want to make the best out of them, we have Ash, Imperm, and Veiler. For Ogre, save it for the field spell. There's no better target, because if you activate it during their turn and pop their field spell, during your turn, you're free to perform your normal summon without them countering. And if you also pop it during their turn, you also shut them off from one additional normal summon and the guaranteed search that comes from it when they banish a card. So that is going to be an A+ hit. Even if you draw it as your 6th card, it's still decent enough so that you can use it to counter the field spell when you perform your normal summon. Upon your normal summon, it's going to trigger, you throw the Ogre away, and now you get to pop the field spell, not worrying that they're going to go into Rabina, maybe throw another Barrier Statue on the field, or maybe go into Ryza. So that's a really good cutoff and buys back your normal summon. For Droll, just do it whenever you can, whether it be on the Eaglin or the Rabina summon. Once they successfully summon the card, search a card, and perform their additional normal summon, they're going to start the chain link first because they are turn player after all, and once their chain link starts, say the Rabina goes into the Eaglin, and then Eaglin gets summoned out, and then it activates, you chain your Droll on that, they don't get to search with the Eaglin, and that kind of cuts everything off, because most Floowandereeze monsters, they have to resolve their on-summon effect to perform the additional normal summon, so it cuts down their entire line and sequence of normal summons, and therefore the board gets much weaker. And the earlier you do it, the less likely that you're going to have to deal with an M-Pen searching for the trap card, giving them additional normal summons during your turn. As for Lancia, just shotgun the card. There's long-term damages when it comes to this card. Sure, your opponent's still going to be able to build their board. However, the resource management gets completely crippled. First of all, by shotgunning this card, you don't have to worry about Gamma because they do not run Gamma. They need their normal summon effects to go through. Therefore, they can't special summon. Therefore, Gamma is out of the option. Now, what do you really hurt? Pot of Prosperity, Pot of Extravagance, those cards cannot be activated. And as for the Floowandereeze and the Advent of Adventure, the new quick play spell, well, that requires them to banish a card. And since they're not banishing off of the field to dodge your effects, it makes some of your weaker hand traps such as Imperm and Veiler, those are going to go through without them dodging your card effects because they can't banish them anymore, and that's really good. And as for the monster they summon out and they get tributed, they hit the graveyard now, and that means they don't get to get added back to their hand, so they're not cycling resources, and you already cripple all the other resource cycling. It hurts in the long run. Sure, they're still building a board, but now they're gonna have to rely on like the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th card in their hand to maybe even have some level of counter against you, and just ending on an M-Pen is not a strong board at all. So that's why Lancia does have some really devastating effects. And as for the stuff in the graveyard, guess what? If they top deck into a Dimension Shifter, that's a dead draw now because they can't activate it, and they're not going to tribute someone out that card either way. So that's why Lancia has some pretty long-term grind game damages to Floowandereeze. As for Gamma, if they don't have the quick play spell or the field spell, then in terms of a one-off normal summon, this is one of the best counters because it removes the body and gives you 2 bodies to play with. If you pair with Lancia, you also get to get a free Hulk play if you're doing that. Oh, and the Gamma is there to stop D-Shifter. In terms of what you want to hit with Gamma, ideally you want to hit the Eaglin. You don't want the Eaglin to be able to search for the Big Bird. The Big Bird is what kills you. The Big Bird is what searches for the trap card or the field spell to give them the disruption. You don't have to answer to them stunning you out of your special summon attack position monster, so all your links are going to get cut off if N-Pen's put on board. If you stop N-Pen from even coming onto the board and searching for a card, that's like 2 disruption that you cut off. So Eaglin is probably the more ideal case in the early game. In the late game case, hopefully you don't top deck this card because you probably have stuff on the field already. So that's kind of where that stands. As for the not so good hand traps, Ash, Imperm, Valor, the problem with these cards is going to be the timing, because Ash is likely going to get chain blocked if they kept a bird banished at all times. If they kept that bird banished, Chain Link 1, the one that's summoned on the field, likely going to go off, and then you're just not going to be able to hit them with Ash at all. And as for Imperm and Valor, if you top deck Valor, it's not very good. And not only that, if you use it during your opponent's turn, if they have the quick play spell, they don't care. You just neg 1 for free. So these cards don't trade really well. If I have an Imperm, I likely want to hold on to it and somehow either hit the M-Pen or somehow hit the barrier statue that's being summoned out, or if they have an Apex Avian on the field, use the Imperm to turn it off or bait it out in that case. But that's how you can try to get the best of these effects, because otherwise you're not going to be able to trade well. And even for the Ash, if you top deck the Ash, consider Ash as one way to trade away one of the normal summon effects from either the field spell or the trap card, because you're not going to be able to hit what you want, and what you would probably want to stop is going to be the additional normal summon that comes out from these monsters. And if there's any search effect, then that's really useful, which is kind of why Gamma is a little bit better, because if they go for like Stree or Toucan, like those Ash can't even touch because they don't really add cards from the deck or summon from the deck, and therefore it doesn't even work. So that's why Gamma just has a bigger range when it comes to like a solo hand trap in weird scenarios, but that's really it. It also has an awkward timing because you can't really control a monster, so you gotta give or take right there. Just a quick disruption, could you guys take a second to check out MSTmerch.com? That is our official merch store. You guys can pick up some of our pro level sleeves, mats, box dividers, and oversleeves. And there's a limited drop happening right now for you guys. You guys definitely don't want to miss out, especially with in-person event coming along. Anyways, thanks for your attention, and let's go back to roasting these birds. Now, if you're going to be going first against Floowandereeze and you want to shut them down completely, fairly simple. You just have to affect the amount of times that they can perform their normal summons and anything that would give them additional normal summons. So in any case, counter traps and floodgates are some of the best sides you can do against Floowandereeze. And if you don't side those cards, then if you're going to be building a board, for instance, what you want to build is going to be activation negation and removal. I would have kind of not recommend effect-based negation, because effect-based negations, your opponent can probably just chain their Floowandereeze, the quick play spell, and then they'll just dodge your effect, and that ultimately just burns your effect, and you committed monsters to making that board, so that's just not really worth it. That's just my opinion. But anyways, in terms of cards that I would recommend anyways, the Solemn Traps. Solemn Traps are so good against this matchup because the timing is so good. They can't use their quick play spell to dodge you, because spell speed 3 versus spell speed 2, they don't even get the chance to activate. You cut off their entire normal summon line, they don't get the search. Everything is really good. They have to have a hard extender to even play through that. So that's one really, really good option. Whether it be Solemn Strike, Warning, or Judgment, they're all just fantastic cards, and especially if you have a board already built, just 1 or 2 more interactions and their turn's basically done. Floodgate wise, anti-spell fragments, it hurts a lot. Look at all the normal spells that they play. If they play 3 Pot of Dualities, if they play 3 Pot of Prosperity, that's 6 cards that are crippling. The 3 field spells that they run, and even their quick play spell, because if they chain to the quick play spell, that means they're burning a card in their hand to get there, so that's a neg 1 in general, and that actually makes it very hard for them to play because they don't have any extenders to dodge your card. Like even an Effect Veiler would be really good because they can't just dodge away the card. They're going to be forced to play, well, nothing really, because they can't even activate Book of Moon, and then therefore it makes all your other hand traps even better if you did keep some of the hand traps in your deck, because siding space is limited from time to time. Other floodgates are really good. Skill Drain. This is a one-sided skill drain. Even if you are hurt by skill drain, I still recommend you guys to use Skill Drain against it, because it hurts them more than it hurts you. Your monster stat line is probably higher than any of the bodies that they can throw out, and they're gonna have to have a hard out. They're gonna need like spell trap removal against you. And if you are playing a combo deck, and you're not playing the Brave package, because if you play a Brave package, they actually might have some back row move. But if you're not playing that stuff and they don't have anything to deal with the sided cheesy skill drain that you put into the game, they're going to lose. So yeah, there's that. And also, there can be only one. They're just a bunch of winged beasts anyways, and if they can't perform a tribute summon, let alone additional normal summons, it's GG from there. So these are some of the big blowout cards if you're going to be going first. Now that you sniped a game off of Floowandereeze and you're forced to go second, what should you do? First things first, you're going to have to side out some of the junky hand traps. Essentially, they're the ones that offer you a -1 or worse if they chain the quick play spell. So the Veilers and Imperms, things that have awkward timing, you might want to take those out in for better cards in general. Stuff that guarantees interaction. Remember, Floowandereeze, they have guaranteed disruption against you through additional normal summoning, such as the field spell or the trap card of Dreaming Town. With those two in mind, then remember that those two cards have timing restriction. One requires a normal summon to occur and the other requires the main phase. So first of all, don't call standby main, because that's a misplay already. You opened the floodgates already. So don't say that. In the standby phase, try to use cards like Twin Twisters and Cosmic Cyclone to remove them. If you can only remove one of them, say they have 2 back row or you only have Cosmic Cyclone for both of those cards, then try to hit the Dreaming Town first, because Dreaming Town probably offers them better timing, and if you don't need your normal summon, then you can definitely play through it that way. But just keep in mind of whatever hand traps or other disruptions you have to perhaps answer the follow-up normal summon that could come from one of those effects. And there's other things that they're going to side in. They're probably going to side in the Harpy's Featherstorm to completely just shut your turn down. And to that, I'm sorry, you're going to have to hard draw a red reboot if that does occur. Or you can slow the game down. If you can't play the game, you got to make sure your opponent also can't play the game. So setting cards like, say, Skill Drain or using cards like Raigeki could definitely just change up the game a little. I recommend Raigeki over like Lightning Storm in this particular instance, because Lightning Storm, you can blow up the back row, sure, but you can't blow up all the front row. And if you blow up all the back row, they're just going to chain, maybe put a barrier statue up. But Raigeki, you can bait out some cards and then Raigeki the rest of the board, and therefore you're still okay. You're not going to die. And yes, I still recommend kind of putting in Skill Drain, because most of their monsters are pretty weak, and if they don't get rid of your Skill Drain, they don't go into Ryza, then it's okay. Like if you're gonna force them to activate the Dreaming Town, and then they're going to summon out a monster, maybe they lock you out, you can still go into set your skill drain and you're still fine, because you baited them out. They're not gonna rise out when you have an empty board, because that's gonna force them to clear out their own cards. So in that particular case, setting a skill drain might actually keep you alive for the next turn coming, because they don't have anything to do. And yeah, sure, you're stuck under their Featherstorm, but that's, not the end of the world. And other cards you can use, such as Chalice. I kind of recommend Chalice over the Droplet in this particular instance, because if you get like locked out through D-Shifter, you can't use Droplet anyway. Chalice is always going to be live, and you can use it to turn off the M-Pen, turn off maybe the barrier statue. That's just some of the options that you have there. In short, in the standby phase, blow up the field spell or the back row that they have, so that you can get your normal summon and your summon effects without it getting disrupted by your opponent. Maybe you have to eat a couple of hand traps here and there, but it's better than them getting a complete blowout through their own cards. As for the Harpy's Featherstorm, you're going to need Red Reboot, or you have Skill Drain to slow the game down so that you can still participate in the turn coming. So that's about all I got for this one. Does that sound about right, Hanko?
Yeah, at least tell them to go check out my articles on TCG Player Infinite, please.
Okay, fine. Go check out Hanko's TCG Player articles, guys, and the link is in the description. Thank you, Hanko, for kind of reaffirming this list here. And that's all I got for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash that thumbs up button. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, such as these counter stuff that you guys requested that I do, and I did, so hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. It encourages me to make more stuff like this, all right? And I'll see you guys in the next one.